Welcome everyone to a discussion today with author Dakoda Foxx. Dakoda is going to be talking to us about her experience as a Black queer woman in America and her absolutely haunting memoir, The Magic in the Nightmare That Was Me. Dakoda, you and I have known each other for more than a decade now.
Yeah.
And we actually first met with you as an actor with Blue Forge Films. But now, The Magic in the Nightmare That Was Me was published by Blue Forge Press.
Right.
Why, just to start out with, why a memoir? Why did you want to write about you as opposed to, making up some character and having them go through some adventure?
Well, I wrote about me because of the simple fact that there was things that was happening to me when I was younger, teens, then mid-adult, that I was hoping or shedding light to, and also hoping that, I could help somebody else in the process that's going through the same thing.
Yeah. Now, we're in Washington State right now.
Correct.
But you did not grow up in Washington.
No.
Talk to us a little bit about where you grew up and what that experience was like.
I grew up in Virginia. The experience was, it was very different.
Yeah.
Growing up with racism, growing up with being a Black lesbian woman who was married at a young age, having kids at a young age.
To a man, just to stipulate.
Yeah. Yeah, married to a man. And going through trauma and different things and coming out where I'm at now. So, yeah.
How old were you when you were first married? 13. And you say you guys had kiddos? And are your kids still in your life?
Yeah, they're grown. Yeah, thank God.
So then you did your job. If they're grown, you did your job. There you go. Good to go. Good to go. Now, one of the things that I remember being amazed when you first shared your story with me was, first, it was not within my realm of experience to hear about a marriage so young. And you're like, no, it wasn't entirely unusual.
No, not from where I'm from.
Yeah, not from your community.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about, were there other friends that you knew that were also married very young, other in your family?
Oh, yeah.
And you just took it as everyday occurrence?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. And,
Yeah.
They get married, they offer, families have to marry within the family, and then sometimes marry other families that keep the bloodline.
Yeah. It was, a lot about continuing tradition and bloodlines, and that was, I think, what really fascinated me. Now, at one point, you saw your husband shot in front of you.
Correct.
And that was not your first experience with violence up close and personal like that.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about violence in your childhood, preteen, early teen years. And then I'm going to talk to you about joyful things. How did you see violence in your early years?
Well, let's see. Man, it was traumatizing because, more like, I don't know.
The reason I ask this, Dakoda, is because one of my moms grew up in the Midwest, and her father was actually killed in a farming accident. And I always would ask her, how did you get past that? How did you? And she said, those big machines, farmers were hurt or killed all the time. And I remember you saying, Jennifer, he was shot, but it was a dispute between neighbors, and that kind of stuff happened.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk to me and to all of us a little bit more about, what was your community growing up? Was it a religious community? Was it a not religious community? Was it a farming community, factory?
Well, I grew up in the country, and then there's part of the country that we went to, and then I'm Baptist, so I grew up as a Baptist, and then that went through my whole life. And I don't know if you know much about Baptists, but their practice is way different than like other religions, not like Catholics or stuff like that. But it's more like, you know, bloodline and all that other stuff. So it's way different. And when I look at how I was raised, I try not to raise my kids that way because I didn't want to carry that on. That just died with me and let it go on. But I made sure that, like, when I had my kids, you know, they didn't see all of that, and everything stopped. Where I came from, you know, it was hard because, like I said, you know, the racism and then religion and then being, you know, gay. That, oh my God, that was terrible. And trying to find out who I was and trying to be in the midst of all the storms that was happening. Like if you read in the book, you know, trying to keep a level head in the midst of the storm. I was that angry black woman, as they would call it. And then I learned something a little while later, after all of the storm had hit. I learned that, you know, all the rage and the anger needed to be channeled and placed somewhere else. And so what I did was if you read another book that I'm writing now, it's called The Inner Me, and it was how I came over all of this to who I am now, as a different person to who I was then to who I am now. I had channeled it into writing, I had channeled it into drawing and painting, doing acting, as you see. There was many facets of me. So all of this brought out different channels and different stages of my life to put into a book. Into several books.
So all of that energy, that fury, that anger, you channeled into art, and like art in all different forms. Now, in terms of acting, I'll give you a shout out in terms of your acting. Dakoda appeared in the feature film Book and Key. Dakoda appeared in the web series Cassandra. Dakoda has appeared in, oh my goodness. Go to blueforgefilms.com and you can find many things that Dakoda has appeared in. But, and then yes, both this book, The Magic and the Nightmare That Was Me, and also you did a Haunting of Orchard House book. It's a little pocket-sized novella. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, and I'm trying to remember the title now. I remember the title of the series. But you can find, most importantly, The Magic and the Nightmare That Was Me here at Charlie's Queer Books in Fremont, Washington. And we just found out, actually, wonderfully, that Charlie's will actually ship books across the nation, maybe all around the world, you guys. And as of today, they will all be autographed. So that is kind of a fun thing that we'll just throw out there. All right, let me circle back.
Okay.
So the book that you're writing right now is where you are now and how the transformation occurred from this Dakoda to the Dakoda that's sitting here with me today. That is very powerful. I like that idea a lot. And you wanted to continue to, again, hopefully share the rest of your story and reach others?
Because when I write a book, it's always about the people. And it's all about helping people. That's my motto, is help someone else. You know, before I channel to help somebody else, I have to help myself. And what I learned the most was that all of this and going through that and trying to piece me back together in the midst of that, I was helping people and I didn't even realize that. And then when I got to this point, it was like breathtaking, because, like, you know how some people hold on to that trauma and that anger, that piece of can't even say, hurt, but I can say, they hold on to it, and they hold on to what happened to them, and they never realize that while they're holding on to it, it's killing them.
It's festering.
It's breaking them apart.
Yeah.
And so one thing I learned, is that I had to let that go in order to be where I'm at. And the longer I held on to it, because I was trying to hold on to it, and I was trying to remember, memories. And people's like, oh, I gotta remember. I can always remember, I can forgive, and let go. And that is the key point that I had to learn within this part of my life to now, is that I'm always gonna remember. But if I hold on to that memory too long, I'm gonna sit there, and everything else around me is gonna keep going, and I'm gonna sit there and still hold on to that memory and that hurt, and I'll dwell on it, and then everything that's good, that's supposed to be for me, is gonna pass me. And I had to learn to not only let it go, but allow something better than that hurt to take control of me and to really hound there. And that's something that I didn't learn until I was 36. And then after I learned that, I was like, man, I learned it too late. But no, it wasn't too late. It was right on time, because I had to sit in that hurt for a minute, and then I had to look at it and say, okay, now I gotta let it go. And then it became who I am now, because now I can, people say, oh, this happened to you. Yeah, it happened to me, and that's exactly where it is. It's sat there. It's not happened to me now, because I'm not thinking about it.
Right.
I'm past it, I'm done with it, and I had to let it go. And now I'm moving on to something happier, and I'm like, oh God, thank you for relieving me of that weight.
Yes.
And that was weight. And a lot of people sit with that hurt and trauma of what happened to them, and I really, want to be there for them, because sometimes, when you're going through the things, you're like, oh man, I'm hearing it alone, but you're not alone. You got people out there that can help you, be with you, drive you, and get you out of that hump. But you'll never know it until you take that step and say, okay, I'm leaving that hurt there.
Right.
And now I'm moving on to something different. But you got to take that first step, and then the other people will come along with you, and they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, tomorrow's a new day. I always say that. Tomorrow's a new day. What's happening today could change tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And I look at it now like, back then, I was like, no, this is what it is, and this is the way my life is going to be. But the only person that could change that was me. And then when I started looking at it differently, and I say, I could be, that little girl that was standing there with the gun in my mouth, and the dude saying, oh, I'm gonna pull the trigger, and be like, okay, this is it. But then I told him, I said, let me help you, help me, help you, and then I realized that I had overcome that. Now I can laugh about it, but then I was like, in the moment, I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
And I write to make sure that everybody know that there's somebody out there that's going to be with you. If nobody else is with you, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of The Magic in the Nightmare, that was me, as the hero's origin story.
Oh.
And I know you don't like that. You don't think of yourself as a hero. I think of you as a hero.
Oh.
Because of the example that you set. Just for that. And also, because it's not just your books, the way you help people. You actually founded a 501c3 nonprofit. And is it called The Power of Two? Did I get that right?
Correct.
Would you tell us a little bit about The Power of Two?
Oh.
How about a lot? Tell us a lot about The Power of Two.
Oh, well, Power of Two is just Power of One right now. I need more help and volunteers. But what we do is we give food, hygiene products, cleaning supplies, resources to people who needs it. We help the homeless, youth, families, runaways, human trafficking, you name it. You know, we're there to take care of the gray areas.
Yeah.
You know, and fill in the fluff of what other organizations doesn't do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of people that need help, and there are, like you say, there are cracks, there are gaps where there's no help for this particular group or this particular group, or
Yeah.
Now, do I remember correctly that originally you were inspired to found the organization because of advocating for your daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Will you talk a little bit about that?
So my daughter got suspended for taking anti-seizure medication at home. Then she got suspended and she was taking food to the school. And I was like, before that, I was like, oh my God, well, is they not feeding you? Because you taking bags and bags of food. And I'm like, okay, but that wasn't the case. The case was exactly that she was feeding other kids, and well, it turned into 6, turned into 16 to 32, and then it just kept going.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so I got stuck doing this. And she done gone over and doing what she want to do.
You raised her too well. It's your darn fault.
I guess.
Okay, I like that. It's like, honey, that's a really big lunch. Well, Mom, I'm feeding 32 kids.
Well,
so.
yeah.
And actually, I want to circle back just real quick for just a minute. Now, when Dakoda was first started acting with Blue Forge Films, she was acting under what I think of as her stage name, or one of her nom de plumes, which is Dax Justice. And if so far you have loved listening to this incredible person speak, I want to make sure to mention on YouTube at youtube.com/BlueForgeFilms, you will find I Am Dax, which is a fantastic web series where Dakoda simply talks about life. She might take you to an interesting locale in Washington, or maybe not. Maybe she's just sitting and looking at the camera and chatting, but she touches on a myriad of vast and varied topics. I think she's, well, I hate to say this, but she is. She's just wise. Oh. And I could say she's wise beyond her years, but actually she only looks like she's 21.
What?
I know you're actually a grown-up. So you have your incredible series, you have your nonprofit organization,
yes,
and now we come back to your writing.
Yes.
All writers are different.
Yeah.
Some writers only write on Wednesdays. Some writers make a big outline. Some writers only write early in the morning or late at night. But a lot of folks don't understand that the vast majority of us have a full-time job.
Oh yeah.
Several of them. We have full-time jobs in addition to writing. Would you talk to us a little bit about what's your approach to writing? Do you write on certain days or at certain times, or how do you approach it?
I don't know, because as my wife says, I never sit down. So I don't know. I write from my phone.
There we go. Actually, that's a great answer. Okay, so not on a typewriter, not handwriting, not on a computer, mostly on your phone.
Yeah, I talk to Google.
Oh, so you don't type. I love that.
Yeah, I talk to Google and Google type it for me. And then I'll be like, okay, Google.
Yeah.
Send it.
So whenever the inspiration takes you, whenever you go, oh,
right,
I should include that.
Right.
I like that.
Actually, I'm writing 2 books right now on it.
Well, I'm just impressed.
Well, I have a whole, she'll tell you, I have a whole box full of
Dakoda's wife is in the audience, you guys. That's her she keeps referring to.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, but I have a whole box of writings that I have handwritten.
Yeah.
And then I have, remember I was telling you about that big, thick, notebook of poems.
Yes. Yes.
And one day I'll publish it.
You see, what you have to do, Dakoda, is you just have to say, Jennifer and Brianne, I'm going to be on the campus in 2 days. I'm bringing a big box. Get that scanner ready.
Oh.
Then we just scan everything in, and then you don't have to type it.
Oh, well, there you have it. Oh, good God. Well, there you have it. I'll bring my pens, too.
There you go. Perfect. Yes, absolutely. A collection. You heard it here first, folks. A collection of poetry and paintings, full color, of course.
Well, yeah, I just did this one of hands.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got 6 hands in different, colors
I like that.
and around the world.
Love that.
Yeah.
Now, because again, you talked about when you were transforming yourself, when you were taking that, I love that, the stereotype, the angry black queer woman, you
Right.
took that stereotype and were like, I'm going to transform into who I am today.
Right.
And that you did that with writing and acting and drawing.
And music.
And music.
Yeah. I'm self-taught, like, 6 different instruments.
6, tell us what instruments.
Yeah, the drums, the trumpet, the keyboard, the sax, and what is that? The
Ukulele?
Yeah, that's it.
Because you were just like, I'm going to do this.
Mhm.
See, that's a lot of anger that gets to be channeled into creative places.
Yes, and then I tried the bongo, but don't tell nobody, I ain't good. But that's the 6th one, and it's terrible. But I hit it. I did the drum circle, actually right down the street there at Gaswork Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. And the man told me, he's like, we gotta find another instrument for you. And I was like, thank you.
Even you knew, oh, who's making that sound? Oh gosh, is that me?
Well, no, I was off beat. I was like, they was banging. I was like, oh, well, let me follow them. And I was banging too. And he was like, no, you gotta be on the rhythm. I said, well, I am on the rhythm. Oh,
You said, why isn't everyone else on my rhythm? There you go. No, that's too much of that angry woman coming out. Get on my rhythm.
yes.
Okay.
So finally, he put me on a guitar, and we was good.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you have anyone in your life growing up that was that played an instrument? Really? Oh, I love, so truly self-taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went to band,
Yeah.
and the teacher was like, he's like, well, you gotta read the music. And I was like, well, I don't know how to read the music. I'm dyslexic, so I don't know how to read that.
Yeah.
Everything is running across the daggone page. And he's like, well, just follow the notes. And I was like, honey, if they can stay still, I would follow them.
Aw.
But they're not staying still, and they're all over the place, and I just like let it go.
Yeah.
And then so finally, he's like, okay, well, let's try the drums. Because I went from the saxophone to the trumpet, and then went to the drums. And I was like, okay, we're sticking with the drums.
So bongos at the drum circle, no way.
Mhm.
Drum kit, you're good to go.
Good to go.
That's interesting.
And I can't read music, but I can hear it.
Yeah, yes. And in terms of drawing, what medium do you like to, painting, pencils,
I do,
pastels?
no, I do what? I do paintings, and then I do drawings.
Mhm.
Right now I'm working on one of this girl that's in my head,
Yeah.
and this drawing, and right now she's just free flowing.
Yeah.
But, afterwards she's gonna have the big world behind her. And that's the one drawing. And then I'm working on the painting. It's 2 hands together, interlocking, and then with the world on the other side, and then it branches out.
I think that needs to happen. If you think that Dakoda's next book, because you're still working on your next biography, but in the meantime, to tide us all over, Dakoda should do poetry and drawings in a beautiful hardback, a coffee table book, you might say, with some short essays about life and the importance thereof of bongos.
Oh God, no. No, I'm terrible at it. I don't know what I would say. I'm like, oh, just beat the drum.
Now, you are going to read for us a little bit from The Magic in the Nightmare that was me.
Okay.
And I know that you are nervous.
Oh, buddy, yes.
You have not done a public reading before. And I know most authors, they say, Jennifer, what should I read? And I always say, always just read from the beginning. Because if the very beginning cannot capture the reader, then why is it the very beginning?
Okay. That's true.
So, is there anything that you would like to tell us about the book before you read from it?
No, just read the book.
I like that. Okay. All right, absolutely.
Okay. Are y'all nervous? Am I reading the author notes too?
No, I would go right to the
I would go right.
first chapter.
Yeah, I would go to the first
Here,
chapter too.
I'll even, I'll take a look with Dakoda here.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let's see, would you please read? Now, I know you opened with a poem.
I do. I did.
Would you read for us today the poem?
Oh.
I think that would actually be absolutely perfect.
Oh. Well, maybe I should tell you a little bit about this poem.
Yes, please.
Okay. So, this poem was actually written, and I was 14 years old. And it was, once you hear it, you'll understand it. But it was coming from a 14-year-old that was looking out the window and wanting to get out, but wanted the other person to look out the window to see me too. So that's a little bit about this poem. And it's called Open Your Window. Your window needs to be open to hear what's been going on in and outside of your home. Your child has been neglected. She's mentally and physically abused. Now she's rejected, withdrawn from the world. She used to be sweet and innocent, but not anymore. You're somewhere in the house, propped up in the corner, drinking down a bottle of scotch. The more you drink, the less you do for your child. She needs you. She's scared, crying for love, and lots of understanding. Your friends only caring for the young body of hers, and they turned her on to alcohol. What it would take for you to search your heart, to seek help for both of you. All the world cares about is themselves. But you know it's called her to turn to alcohol and not to trust and withdraw from the outside world. It's forced her to go down the road that she didn't want to go. She won't ever be the same young sweet girl, never again. She's lost her childhood way back when. You must open up your window if you could, and you would have heard what's been going on in your backyard. Sure, it's all right for her to have friends, but you would never simply say and have the time to meet them. And you didn't even want anything to do with her. You were only interested in the bottle. So that's when she ran to see what was at the bottom of the bottom also. You only wanted to deal with her when she's playing sports or winning a competition in school. You never took the time to see her for her. But what will it take for you to see the true side and open your window and go find your child and bring her home? Did you even notice that she was alone? Searching your heart, and when you see your window opening, your world, you could have been in a better place. And isn't it time you become a mother?
I think for me, what I loved about the entire collection, before your preface, before your first chapter, the entire, not collection, the entire memoir beginning with that poem, is that it's not a poem written by grown-up you talking about child you. That's literally child you. But listen already, you guys, to her voice. That is not the voice of a 14-year-old, an average 14-year-old. You guys know the stereotypical, 14-year-old is, I don't think Billy loves me, but will he love me not? I think that math is great, but science is so hard, or whatever it is. And I'm not trying to actually put down 14-year-olds. I'm just saying, usually what they are facing is pared down. It's not, I'm at the bottom of a bottle, because this is where you are always looking. And if you're looking for something at the bottom of the bottle, then maybe I'll find something at the bottom of that bottle too. But if we can both just open our window, open our eyes and actually see each other and see the truth. And the fact that this is a child talking to, well, actually talking to the world, but talking to a parent, talking to the world, talking to their community, and just saying, not only do I want you guys to see me, I'm not just shouting, see me. I'm saying, you guys see each other, see the world, see everything that's going on. Take that moment and open that window. And I thought it was a fantastic choice, made by yourself, made by your senior editor, Brianne, who's in the audience today, to begin the book that way, to remind us this is not an adult looking back. Now, I know you were an adult when you wrote the book, but this particular piece is not an adult looking back. It is a child in the moment. And I feel that was a really brave choice, and I applaud you for that.
Yeah, like I said, I got boxes of it.
Yeah.
Boxes of those poems.
Yeah.
And there's
Is there more poetry included in the book?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Just that opening piece. The rest of it, she's holding back, you guys.
Oh no, I'm not holding it back. I got more, but I just haven't shared it yet.
So I think that, and poetry, you wrote poetry obviously when you were a teen. Have you continued to write poetry now as an adult?
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
I wrote one about my wife.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have a whole what is it? I think Rise 2 is nothing but my wife poetry to my
Yes,
wife.
actually that's a very good point. Because Dakoda is not just publishing her memoir and the Haunting of Orchard House. Is it called The Island?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Yay, Jennifer wins a tiny moment. Okay, so Dakoda's book, The Island, is in the series The Haunting of Orchard House. And Dakoda, you love, I hope I'm not revealing something. We'll have to edit it out if this is too much of a reveal. Is it true that you love zombies?
Oh, I love zombies with all my heart, yes.
And so this is the Haunting of Orchard House, The Island, is it is horror. It is definitely a horror story. Yeah. Dakoda writes horror very well. Ooh, well, that's a lot to unpack right there. I feel like Dakoda has faced, as she says, nightmares, but she has, as her title suggests, also found the magic in those nightmares, which I think ultimately is what you're talking about when you talk about transforming from that angry person into this person that is, you're not, I don't want to say you transform from someone who was fueled by anger to someone who is bubbly and like almost toxic positivity. You're not like that. You're very grounded in reality.
Oh yeah.
But you're also very much about, like you said, the journey forward. So the book that you're working on right now, I keep coming back to that.
Okay.
The
Inner Me.
The Inner Me. You said you're nearing completion?
I am.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, look at the publisher being sneaky.
Yeah, I see. I see.
Uh-huh.
But this was gonna be my bestseller. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this idea of, I mean, like I talked about, this being the origin story, even if we don't say it's the origin story of the hero, just being like the beginnings.
Right.
And then the new book, The Inner Me, is it the you now? Is it you now and also looking to the future? Talk to us a little bit more.
I don't want to give it away.
Oh, okay.
But it's more.
Don't tell. This is a sneak peek.
Okay, sneak.
Okay.
Okay. So it's more like the lesson in between, because it's not the end.
No.
Never.
No.
We doing this in parts. It's the middle.
Yeah.
It's coming from here.
Yeah.
That journey that I was telling you about, how I came from that angry person to who I am now.
Yeah.
And it's more like the butterfly, the coming out of the cocoon, the caterpillar coming out of the cocoon, becoming the butterfly.
Yes.
So that's where we're at. We're in that cocoon.
So this is the caterpillar. The inner me is the chrysalis, the cocoon.
Yep.
And then what comes after is, of course, the butterfly.
Yes.
So the inner me kind of ends with the emerging of the butterfly. But if we want to actually meet the butterfly, we have to wait for book 3.
Well, yeah, you gotta wait for book 4.
Well, there we go, book 4.
We're gonna wait for book 4. That's what we waiting for.
This woman has plans, you guys. You just come for the journey. We've got art, we've got poetry, we've got prose. She's an actor, she's an artist, she's a musician. She is all things.
And if you need something built, call me.
And a carpenter. All of the professions rolled into one.
Notary.
And
Paralegal.
notary, mechanic. Because we talked once and you were like, oh yeah, I'm at the garage. And I'm like, what? What is happening? Are you everything? Dakoda of all trades.
Well, my mom always told me, if you only got one thing that you're good at, then you ain't good at nothing. If you got many things,
you'll always be good at least one thing.
Yeah.
Something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Step forward into. Embrace.
And then I watched her. She was a cook, a seamstress. She made butter. She made cakes. She made candy apples. She even made, knitting hats and stuff like that. She made clothes. She made jeans. So she
eclectic.
And then she even showed me how to change the roof, tiles on the roof. So I mean, she was everything.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. What was your mom's name?
Lily.
So Lily of all trades.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's Lily of all trades.
I like that. Do we have any questions in the audience?
What age were you when you decided that you wanted to become a writer?
Oh.
About 9.
Wow. Really? Was there were there books that or authors that had inspired you or that you loved or?
I was writing out of pain.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I probably should have asked that earlier, Dakoda, but then as you grew, are there books or writers that spoke to you or that you found helpful on your journey?
Yes.
Who?
I always liked Roger Steinbeck.
Really? Okay. Oh, that really surprises me. I like that very much.
Why?
I think I'm used to, we are roughly the same age.
Yeah.
And I would say when I speak to other queer women our age, the first book that people tend to mention is like Gender Outlaw or Stone Butch Blues, or sometimes people talk about Rita Mae Brown or Alice Walker. I think because I grew up with gay parents,
Right.
I think that was most of my community. So
yeah.
that is really interesting. Oh, I really like that.
I didn't read books.
Yeah.
I really still don't. I mean, I really don't read books, but that one particular, just his books.
Yeah. And you said you do like audiobooks. And do you think you talked about dyslexia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it difficult. Yes. Huh, okay. 9. I love that. Okay, yes.
For this story, for this memoir, how did you decide where the beginning started and where the story ended?
I didn't. I let the book take its life of its own. I always let the book follow wherever it wants to go.
Oh, so actually, when I ask you, so you're almost done with this, the inner me. Actually, you don't know. You're like, well, we'll see. We'll see how far it takes me.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I purposely do it that way because of the simple fact that, like, sometimes it's ready to be ended, like this one ended where it did, and then, but it also starts the inner me. It picks up where that left off. So it's not like it was dropped. It's just a continuance. Yeah.
Like the whole thing is one grand story. Well, I mean, I guess it's your life. It's your life story. So of course it's one grand story.
But I always, so the way I think, I always write the book backwards. So from end to beginning. And then I flip it around because I'm dyslexic. So it has to start at the end.
Because that's what feels most natural to you.
Yeah.
So the end of the inner me is already written. So you're kind of like working backward, filling in the spots that connect it to the magic in the nightmare that was me. So actually you have quite a unique and very established way of writing. You may not write, like every Wednesday or every time I sit at the typewriter from noon to 12 minutes after noon. No. Yeah, you're constantly writing.
Yeah. I'm constantly writing, and how would I say this? I have a million books in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm working on 2 right now.
Yeah.
But there's always stories in my head. Like, I can sit here right now and give you a whole story.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always there. And like, I don't know, it's just one of those things where you just know, and it just comes out. But like the inner me, it's like, here we are at the end, but then I'm plugging in the beginning. But as I'm plugging it in, when by the time Brianne gets it, I flip it around.
Yeah.
Because, she ain't gonna know what the heck. She'll be like, Dakoda, are you okay?
The challenge of having to work with an editor.
But check this out.
Yeah.
I have learned that Google does it for you.
See, I love the way you are utilizing technology to aid your creative process, your unique creative process. Now, I'm just fascinated by this. So, a lot of the writing that you have done is biographical. It's about your life.
Right.
But The Haunting of Orchard House, The Island, that's complete fiction. How?
Kinda.
Okay, now wait a minute. Dakoda. Dakoda, I'm not sure I'm ready to hear that. I mean, the things that you have faced, I'm not sure I want to also hear that you have faced zombies. I mean, I know they weren't quite. I'm trying to say things without spoiling for anyone, because I know Dakoda hates spoilers. What I was actually going to ask was, did the process feel different to you? Did you still write from the end, to the beginning with a fictional story? So the process of writing a fictional story and writing a non-fiction story wasn't all that different.
No, this process is still the same. Like, if you read Unnerving, where...
The Unnerving series, that's another series that Dakoda is published in. Yes, there you go, that's right.
So I started with the rat. Everything was all around Paul.
Yeah.
And trying to find him.
Yeah.
And all along, he was a rat.
Right.
And so what I did was I did 2
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
by the way.
alert.
Yeah.
2 ends to make one.
Oh.
So when they found him.
Right. No difference at all. Real life, make-believe life, it's all life.
Yeah.
That's what Dakoda's trying to teach us, you guys.
Well, basically every book has a message. So if you pay attention, there's a message in everything I write.
Yeah.
Because that's just who I am. But
Yeah.
like with that one, it's more like pay attention to your surroundings, because you never know
Yeah.
what is going on. And just because you're seeing it like I'm looking out the window right there,
Yeah.
and you see people walking by, those could be non-people, or they could be real people, or they could be zombies. You can make them up as you go.
Yeah.
And life is like that. You don't have to be set in stone like this is the way life is. You can make it up as you go. You don't have to have it set in stone. But what you do have to have is to keep going forward.
That's right.
Yeah. And you can't never go back. So if you're wasting your time thinking about what's happening in the past or what done happened to you in the past, then you're not going forward.
Yeah.
And that is the meaning of unnerving.
Well, Dakoda, thank you so much
Yes.
for
Thank
speaking
you.
with me today and for talking with all of us. You guys, you can get copies of The Magic and the Nightmare That Was Me autographed. The only place you can get them autographed right now is at Charlie's Queer Books in Fremont, Washington. Charlie's will ship all over the place, so you do not have to be in Washington State. You do not have to be in the area to get one of these amazing autographed copies. You can also, oh my gracious, this is just keep your eye out. You can go to youtube.com/BlueForge and find all kinds of projects with Dakoda. Remember, just look for Dax Justice or I Am Dax. And Dakoda has been in the Unnerving series, the Rise series, the Haunting of Orchard House, and I'd be willing to bet that the good people at Charlie's can also look up her other books for you. And if you are interested in getting every book she's ever written, they'll be able to pull that up in their grand technological databases. So thank you, Dakoda, again for joining us today. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
And if you want to see a picture of my granddaughter and I, don't forget to look at the series Who We Are.
Oh my gosh, that's another series that Dakoda has done with Blue Forge Press. Like, you guys, this is what happens when someone is truly a prolific creator. She has done everything. I think the only thing she doesn't have with us is an album.
No, we started that.
We have.
But we couldn't get the signal.
There you go.
And we was in the closet.
There you go. There you go. That's the only reason, guys.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
But that's coming too.
There we go. It's all coming, and I'm gonna work on her to get her drawings in a book and some poetry in a book. Don't worry, I'll work on it. Lola, we'll talk. All right. Hey, no problem. Where is that box? Big box of poetry. It's at the publishers.